We're having quite the week in the traditional markets and the crypto markets, aren't we? S&P 500 down about 10%, Bitcoin down about 30%, but it's all good, right? This is what we all signed up for. I'm getting bear market vibes across the board, despite the fact that the S&P 500 is still above 5,500 and Bitcoin is still above $80,000 as of today. Your brain is probably telling you to sell. We're already down from $90,000, $80,000. We went as low as $76,000 for Bitcoin. Your brain is telling you, we've already gone so low. Why don't you just sell? We're probably gonna hit $60,000. We're probably gonna hit $50,000. Why don't you just sell? Don't do what your brain's telling you to do. Your brain is stupid. Do not listen to your brain. I know that sounds completely counterintuitive. Well, your brain is a smart little thing inside your head, isn't it? So shouldn't you listen to it? Absolutely not. When it comes to market psychology, trading psychology, you always want to do the opposite of what your brain is telling you to do. Back when the markets were high, back when Bitcoin was around $110,000, your brain was probably telling you, don't sell. What do you mean sell? We're going higher. That was exactly when you should have been selling. And when Bitcoin is at $76,000, $77,000 in the low 80s, your brain is telling you sell. Yeah, no, that's actually a buying opportunity. In my last video, I alluded to the fact that I believe, and again, I said I wasn't a conspiracy theorist, but it's becoming more and more evident as more time goes on. And this week was very obvious. Why? Because the US president used the R word. No, not the hard R word, you disgusting degenerates. I'm talking about the R word as in the recession word. Recession. He used the recession. He said the recession is not off of the table. The recession is in the cards. Again, I wasn't a conspiracy theorist back then, but maybe I am today. Who knows? Again, it's becoming very, very apparent that Trump is trying to engineer what I call hard economic times.
But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. Of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this. We're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch.
Trump's barometer, as I said in multiple videos in the past, that Trump's performance as a president is directly correlated to the performance of the economy and the stock market. So Trump saying that he's not too concerned about the stock market in the short term and the recession's not off the table. That is very
one eternity later,
antithetical to Trump's beliefs on what makes a high performance presidency, which is again good economic times and a high performing stock market. So if Trump does not care about the stock market in the short term, obviously something's happening. The S&P 500 doesn't just drop 10% in a matter of weeks over nothing. That's crazy. In 2022, we all know how hard that year was. The S&P 500 was down 20%, and look what happened. We all thought everything was going to zero. Oh my God. There is no coincidence that the stock market has plunged dramatically in the last week. Why do I say that? Why do I say that there's no coincidence? There is no coincidences in anything. What is happening next Wednesday? What is happening on March 19th, Wednesday, March 19th? Oh, could it be the FOMC meeting? Could it be where Chair Jerome Powell is going to be talking about what's going on in the economy, whether or not rates are going to be lowered, whether or not quantitative tightening is going to end, whether or not quantitative easing is going to begin, how bad the economy is inflation going down? Is it a coincidence that all of this market turbulence has happened the week or two before the FOMC meeting? Absolutely not. And if you don't agree, you need to reevaluate your priorities. You need to take a step back, zoom out, and look what is happening. All of the signs are there. At the beginning of Trump's presidency, he emphasized that Jerome Powell needs to lower these bloody rates. And what did Powell do in the January FOMC meeting? He said, nah, y'all ain't getting no rate cuts. Quantitative tightening is still in full effect. So Trump said, okay, hold my beer. And well, that's where we are today. The S&P 500 down 10%, Bitcoin down 30%, Ethereum down like 50%. That is where we are today. Did we go lower at this point? Absolutely, because the FOMC meeting is still another 7-8 days away. A lot can happen in 7 to 8 days. I mean, for all we know, the S&P 500 could be down another 10% from this point. It could be down 20% from the highs. It could go all the way down to 4,900. We do not know how far Trump is willing to go. A lot of people are saying this guy, he clowned us. He fooled us all. He said the economy is going to do well. He said the cost of eggs are going to go down. This is crazy. Everyone is suffering. What the hell is going on? Relax. Short-term pain for long-term gain. Whether you hate the guy, whether you love the guy, you gotta respect the fact that he cares about the economy and he cares about money. So if the stock market is doing poorly in the short term, relax. It will flip before you know it. We just need to get those inflation rates down. We need to get interest rates down, and we need the Fed to begin quantitative easing. What I've been preaching heavily on X, I mean religiously on X, is if you can weather the storm until next Wednesday, I think there is a high probability that you will do just fine. And I mean, if I'm wrong and the Fed says, yeah, F y'all, I ain't lowering no rates, I am not ending quantitative tightening, well then we go lower. And then, well, we'll have to wait another FOMC meeting. So the next meeting after March, I believe, is in May. So we'll have another 6 to 7 weeks of more pain. But again, I really don't think that's going to happen. And even if we don't get a recession, it is now in everybody's radar that, you know what? I mean, a recession is very likely. I mean, if you look at all the headlines, and I always say, don't bother looking at the headlines. The headlines are it's just noise. But if you look at all the headlines, inflation, it's back. Everybody thought, you know what? We're going to have a nice soft landing. We're not going to have inflation. Jerome Powell did it. He engineered the soft landing. He did what no Fed chair was able to do. He engineered a soft landing despite all of the odds stacked against him. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Rates need to be lowered. And again, that is going to have short-term consequences. We're going to have short-term pain for long-term gain. So remember that. So when you're about to hit that sell button, when we are marginally at the lows, remember that the next time, in 6 to 8 months from now, when we're at all-time highs or even higher than that point, and remember the moment that you said, you know what, I'm going to sell it and I'm going to wait lower. Remember that. It is going to haunt you for the rest of your life. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to buy lower. You're going to buy out of FOMO. And you know when you buy at that pivotal point, at that point where you're like, yeah, I guess we're going higher. Guess what's going to happen? Like it happens every single time. We are going to hit a local top. We're going to correct. You're going to sell again. And it's going to be a rinse and repeat cycle. Don't be that person. The best thing that you can do during these uncertain times is do nothing. Literally do nothing. Do nothing. If you are buying in 2023, if you are buying in 2024, you are doing just fine right now, depending on what you're in. I mean, if you bought a whole bunch of altcoins, well, yeah, you're probably suffering right now. You're probably down 50 to 80%. But if you bought Bitcoin in 2023, if you bought Bitcoin in early 2024, even during the 7-month correctional period in the summer last year, the 7 to 8 month period before we got the Trump bump. If you bought in that period, you are still up like at least 20, 30%. You are fine. Do nothing. Or if you have been dollar cost averaging, continue to dollar cost average. But do not try to get cute. Do not try to trade the market. Do not try to time the market. Don't try to do anything like that. Don't be buying on any leverage because you're going to get liquidated. Market makers have been going ham on the weekends. Look what has happened every Sunday for the last 3-4 weeks. It has been a massive dump, minus that whole pump and dump from Trump when he announced the strategic reserve and what's going to be in it, a whole bunch of shit coins and Bitcoin, and then the markets went woo, and then on Monday it went whoa. So aside from that Sundays have been terrible for traders. So don't trade, don't use leverage. You'll thank yourself later. And you know what? Why are we here? Why are we here? Why are we even talking about a recession in 2025 when we should be booming? Q1 historically has been a fantastic quarter for any post-halving year. I'm talking about Bitcoin now. But again, this should have been a great year. So why are we where we are today? Oh, could it be because perhaps we should have had the recession in 2023 when all of the top experts in their fields in economics were forecasting, prognosticating an economic downturn, a recession in 2023 or 2022. Why did we not get that? Perhaps it could be because, we had a whole bunch of money that was being printed in 2020 and 2021, and all of that was still percolating through the economy. So yeah, sure, that's one way. Or that's another reason. Could it be because in 2022, we actually did have a recession? We had 2 quarters of negative GDP, and what does that constitute? That typically constitutes a recession. But no, what did they say? They said, no, jobs are still fine, unemployment is still fine, we're all good, it is not a recession, relax. So yes, because of all of the nefarious and all of the disgusting government spending that happened over the last 2-3 years in the previous administration, that is exactly why we did not get the recession in 2023. The market was being artificially propped up. It wasn't organically propped up. It was artificially propped up. That is why we did not. That's why we had the insane boom in 2023. We had the insane boom in 2024, where we had 2 years in a row of 20% gains in the S&P 500. Unprecedented. So of course we are where we are today. I mean, what do you expect? Here is something that will give you a little bit of solace. What are the trueflation numbers? We all heard of inflation. What is trueflation? Well, trueflation is exactly what it sounds like. It's the trueflation. It's the true value of what inflation is. And as of today, it is 1.35%. Not 3%, not 2.5%, not 2%. No, 1.35%. Now, how is trueflation different from the traditional inflation, or the CPI print that we get every month? Trueflation is an independent inflation index that aims to provide a real-time, data-driven measure of inflation. It pulls data from various sources, including housing, food, energy, and other sectors, to calculate a more immediate and transparent inflation rate. So it is inflation as of today. You don't have to wait for all this economic data. It is what is inflation today. And that number is 1.35%. If you look at the trueflation chart, look at what has happened from the peak of January to today, to March. Look what happened to inflation. We were hovering around 3%, and we are now at 1.35%. Yes, this isn't a number, and this isn't the data that the Fed uses to determine what the inflation print is, or what will determine what the monetary policy is going forward. No, but it gives you a good idea on what the true value of inflation is on any given day, in any given day. All right, y'all, as always, I thank you for yet another opportunity to share my thoughts and my insights. I greatly appreciate it. And whether you agree with me or not, perhaps it gives you a different perspective that you didn't think of before. And if that is the case, let me know down below in the comment section if you learned something new. And let me know down below in the comment section if you disagree and you think I'm a total idiot. If you do, that's perfectly okay. Let me know down below in the comment section. If you found value, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps out the channel tremendously, and I greatly appreciate it. And everybody, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to the next one. BK out.